You talking to ChatGPT much?
A little bit, not very often. It's definitely not one of my go-tos. Regularly.
Starting to give up. I've had enough. I've had enough of the hallucinations.
Of arguing with it and proving that you can make it wrong.
It's completely wrong.
Yeah.
And it won't admit it. It won't admit it because it doesn't know that it's wrong.
Because it's not actually, it doesn't have the nuances of a human brain.
Yeah. Well, no, actually, it's exactly the opposite.
Okay.
It's because it has the exact same nuances as the human brain.
Okay.
That's what I was mapping together in my brain this morning and thinking about cognitive biases. I actually think it's making some of the same errors.
Oh, I see.
That we make as humans.
The hardwired programming that we have in our brains, you think?
And maybe you'll be able to see some of those as we run through these today.
Okay.
The way a lot of people feel about GPT is the way I feel about human
Most
beings.
human beings. Okay.
I'm like, I think there's some glitches in your thinking.
I mean,
and I think
sure.
the more you read and learn and study psychology and see all those glitches, all of which I have. So
all humans actually have these, right?
just to be clear,
Yep.
I'm certainly not immune from any of this, but I think the more you see it or learn about it, the more it becomes apparent, and the more you see the patterns of thinking in people's brains. So,
It does, open up doors when you know what the things are.
So if you are frustrated with ChatGPT's hallucinations, I'm accusing you out there in listener land of probably being a victim of a whole bunch of very similar hallucinations. And I wanted to point out a few of those today. So I'll start with this wonderful, loving statement that you are 100% irrational. And I think... well, let me back up. Here's what we're going to do today.
Yeah.
I just took a bunch of these cognitive biases, which is, we'll discuss what they are here in a second, and just threw them on a piece of paper. So we created a little resource here. I don't know that anyone's ever going to use this resource. Maybe it's just for me.
I like it. It's good.
Don't care.
Yeah.
But, this is where I nerd out. You nerd out on other things. I nerd out on philosophy and psychology. But what I've learned over the years is that as you understand how people's brains work, it really is empowering. It's like understanding how the vehicle works, looking under the hood.
Looking under the hood, yeah, for sure.
And I think the more you understand, the more you're, one, aware of how your own brain is subject to fallacy and being tricked. But two, it helps you understand not just how to manipulate others, because that's not
it's just about helping them get where they want to go. And if you can understand what's happening inside their psychology, right? Like you can help them get through that, I think.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let me back up with a few things. A lot of this cognitive biases sort of discussion starts with a very, very famous book that was written, 20 years ago, maybe. The guy's name is Daniel Kahneman. I call him Danny.
Yeah, of course you
Danny
do. I was going to say.
But I know people who know Danny, and they call him Danny. So
Okay.
I feel like we're on a first-name basis. This is like my wife and some of those social media personalities.
Oh, funny.
Danny Kahneman wrote a book called Thinking Fast and Slow. And have you heard about this? Have I shared this with you?
You've shared them, yeah.
And the fundamental premise here is really, really simple, that we don't think the way we think we think. And this, by the way, changed all of our understanding in social psychology of how human brains work. But we really think in two different systems. He calls it system 1 and system 2 thinking. And system 1 thinking is actually how decisions are made. System 1 thinking is stuff that goes on all underneath your peripherals. You don't even know what's going on. It's automated.
Yep.
And these cognitive biases are actually, they fit into that part of the
category.
Machine.
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
And then system 2 thinking is where you have already made a decision, but essentially this is the part you're aware of. And it's actually where you rationalize or justify or find the logic for the decisions that have already been made.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah.
And I think this is very similar to how ChatGPT works. It already has a preconceived notion, and then no matter how much you argue with it, it comes up with a rationalization or a
for the decision it's already made.
Correct.
You're so right.
Well,
I'm seeing that now. Yeah, it's good.
And as you run through the examples of different cognitive biases, you'll see that ChatGPT is actually falling prey to a bunch of those. So I come at this from a systems 1, systems 2 thinking perspective, and I'm interested in my brain. I'm interested in your brain. I'm interested in my clients' brains and what's actually going on. Again, the point here is not manipulation. It's to understand how I'm being manipulated, one, but also to understand how others' thinking might be broken so that I can help them think more accurately and clearly. I had a conversation yesterday with someone about sunk cost thinking. And so all of these are very, very powerful. So let me go ahead.
Yeah, I think the most helpful thing for me, though, like a lot of these we have talked about in the past and through other lenses or whatever, but I think the thing that is most helpful for me about this resource is actually the categories of thinking that these are kind of divided into. It helped me see some of them differently. So I think the categories are helpful.
So we're just going to pick a handful of these out of the hat and describe some cognitive biases. It'll be helpful to some of you that choose to look into these further. Whether you love this or not, I do. And I think it's really, really helped me be where I am and do what I do and guide and lead and steer decision-making and people. So let me define a cognitive bias first.
Okay.
So a cognitive bias is just a mental shortcut. And the way I think about this, and I know we've discussed this in the past, is if you actually take a look at any given normal human being's day, there are billions of pieces of data coming at you. You physically cannot make decisions on all of those things. So what our brains through millions of years of evolution have done is create shortcuts. And so that we don't have to make decisions on every single thing. These are here to help us.
Yes.
They were here to make it that we could make efficient decisions so that we could focus our attention on the things that actually mattered from a decision-making perspective.
Yeah.
But the problem is that these were forged in the fiery furnace of thousands and thousands of years ago's worlds.
Yes.
And most of the way our world operates today isn't the same. We have no tigers hiding in bushes today.
But they did. Yes.
But our cognitive biases and decision-making framework that happens at the system one level subconsciously
is based on all of that, the way that they live then,
It starts with the presumption that there's literal tigers hiding under bushes.
Yeah.
So they're mental shortcuts. They've evolved over time to help us make efficient decisions, but they're counterproductive in a modern environment. Not always. I mean, sometimes they're helping us, but if you look at the examples, you'll see how these are actually short-circuiting what would otherwise be rational thinking.
Yeah.
And they're going on at the subliminal level where we're not even aware of them, and then we're justifying what we think is a decision we made, but actually was a subliminal decision that our brain made for us.
Yeah.
And then the other part of this is that they're used against us by two categories of people. Maybe they're the same thing. Advertisers. They're fully aware. I can tell you that at the...
they are definitely tuning into that. They're looking for that, right?
Whether it's Nike or an oil company or a cigarette company or your favorite brand of socks, I can tell you that these people have spent a lot of time studying this stuff and they understand how to play this game.
Yeah.
The other one is just manipulators. So narcissistic human beings and bullies and whether they've actually studied this or not,
That's what they're doing. Yeah.
100%.
They found the thing. Yeah.
Okay. So shall we jump into a handful of these? Now, again, I don't think we're going to cover all of them.
Yeah.
And maybe you can point out ones that you think are very, very interesting.
Yeah.
But we'll start with group one.
Yeah.
And I've picked out a handful that I think are worth talking about. So I'll start with anchoring. We've talked about this one before. Anchoring. How do you think of or define anchoring?
I just feel like it's the first thing that I specifically tied some of these to real estate. So anchoring is, your seller's got a number in mind, right? Like they're whatever that number may be, they're going to constantly think back to that number, like wherever they saw a number, wherever they thought that number, that's the number they're always going to have in their head, no matter what you say, no matter what you do. That's kind of what my instant thought on anchoring. They're going to always go back to that anchor, that number.
That's a good example. And Zestimates tend to be
right.
anchors.
Exactly. Yeah.
So anchoring is just the tendency to rely too heavily on the first piece of information that you encounter. I love the game we played in our psychology course where I gave half of the room a piece of paper that said, how tall is the average redwood tree? Is it taller or shorter than 200 feet? And then I gave the other half of the room another question, same question.
Same exact.
How tall is the average redwood tree? Is it taller or shorter than 800 feet? And I created two anchors. One was small and one was big. And then you get the room to guess the number. And what that did, because it's completely irrelevant, the question, taller or shorter than.
Yep.
They had to pick a number.
And the number, anchor, was already anchored to something.
And so, in real estate, this one's not hard to see. An anchor is estimate, an anchor a first offer. Frankly, a asking price on a property is an anchor. This is a reference point that our brain now clings to as if somehow that actually matters in the greater context of the discussion. So anchoring is big. And we're all, again, subject to anchoring. And I think it goes on in more abstract spaces than just
numbers or whatever it may be.
Negotiation. The next one that I picked was the availability heuristic. Did this one make sense to you?
Yeah. I thought specifically about like when something specific happens to you, you're like, it is everywhere. Like it is the thing. I've had irrational fears about accidents and when snow, like there's things that have happened in my life that are somewhat tragic that that is like an irrational fear 100%. Because it's like based on something that I experienced. Like it doesn't even make sense. And I know it doesn't make sense, but I know it's happening to me.
Yeah. You have a motorcycle and you drive it with no helmet and you like skydiving and you climb mountains and you fly all around the world, but you had a friend when you were 6 that was bitten by a shark.
And now you have,
And so you believe that sharks are the most dangerous thing on the planet, even though you're doing all these other things.
Yeah.
And so the availability heuristic is just judging the likelihood of something based on how easily examples can come to mind rather than actual probability.
Yeah.
And the sharks and airplane crashes are really good examples of that. Your brain can't do the probability math on any given situation. So what it does is it shortcuts the thinking and it goes, wait, can I think of an example of this?
Yes.
And if there's an example of this in the world that you are close to, then this is a big problem.
And that's it's a thing.
You're living in your cave or your hut and it's like, I can think of
we only have a tribe that's this big and it's, if you have
I know of someone that was eaten by a tiger.
So then
this is a big problem.
Yeah.
And so, this is interesting because now we live in a world where there's no tigers, but there is social media. And so all of a sudden we might go into a doom scroll bubble cocoon down a particular path. And all of a sudden the number one most important thing in the world is that buildings fall down everywhere. And this is not just like worried about terrible things. It's also the likelihood of something positive happening. But your availability heuristic is our brain just looks for accessible examples. It can't run through all the data and find out if there's examples of everything all the time.
No.
So if one or two can pop in my brain, then I know that this is a thing that's likely to happen.
Yeah.
You can understand how that makes sense.
Oh, it makes complete sense.
How does ChatGPT do this?
Oh, gosh.
Does it scour all of Google when you ask it a question?
It's just finding the most available.
It does a very quick scouring.
Yeah.
Can it find examples of something?
And then
it anchors on that basically.
Interesting.
And it goes, yep, this is a thing. And then you start getting in an argument with it, and it's not prideful.
It's sticking to that.
It does.
Yes. Yeah.
And again, if this frustrates you, know that you do this too. The next one is loss aversion.
Yeah, this one's a big one.
Well, loss aversion we've taught, and I think this one's very practical and powerful. But this is what's the saying? Do you know the saying?
I don't know if I know the right one off the top of my head. You're more afraid of what you are going to lose than what you are to gain.
Fear of loss.
Fear of loss is greater motivator than a fear of
opportunity for gain.
Yes.
So in marketing and advertising, loss aversion. Well,
dig into the
how
loss.
do I define the tendency to fear losses more than valuing equivalent gains? So rationally, and this is where I'm saying you are 100% irrational. If you think you're rational, I promise you that is irrational.
Yeah.
We equal amount $100 gain versus $100 loss. You are much more motivated by the fear of losing 100 than by gaining 100.
Honestly, on this entire section of decision making and risk, like that's the one that I started for me is like I know it's happening and I can see it happening in me, but I'm very afraid of the loss, and I have a hard time going, but what's the why can't I think of the word, like the other side of that?
Alternative?
Yeah, what's the alternative? And it's maybe way better, but I know I stuck in this one.
Well, where this shows up most is in advertising, and smart advertisers know that telling you what you could get if you use their product has some marginal benefit, but telling you what you would miss out on if you don't. Yeah. This great cologne that all of a sudden people will want to marry you, versus other guys wearing the cologne and they get the pretty girls while you're alone at the bar. Mm-hmm. Much greater story because now it's about you missing that opportunity. Sorry.
No, I know, but it's totally about decision making and risk, right? Like I am more afraid to lose something. Yeah. So
marketing, messaging, persuasion. I mean, I think we've taught this in real estate contexts. Basic example of this. You've got a person that's thinking about a property. They really like it. You know it's the one for them because they told you what they're looking for. You know they're not going to get a better option. trying to pitch them on why they should get it in a positive lens will be different than, hey, one of my big concerns is that we wait 48 hours, somebody else comes in, they make an offer on this property, and then we have to go back to square one, and we don't get to grill those brats on the backyard that you had talked about.
Yeah.
And so fear of loss is a greater motivator than opportunity for gain. That is loss aversion.
Yep.
The next one that I'm excited to actually do a totally separate discussion on is framing. And I know that we've got a lot of information on that as well, but framing is the idea that the exact same situation or circumstance or event can be seen from completely different, well, you'll make completely different judgments about an event. Simply based upon the frame that's provided for you through which to look at it. You don't see things objectively, you see them through the frame, and what you learn is that someone can provide that frame for you.
Yes, that's kind of like exactly what I wrote down. It's like this is about like giving someone something to focus on. Like you're giving them the frame to focus on. Yeah.
Nothing is as it is. It's only as it's perceived. So like things are things, but it's all in the eye of the beholder. So if I can steer the frame through which you look at something. So, I'll give you a couple of examples. One framing strategy is called the contrast effect. And the contrast effect is that,
that moved up a little bit. Yeah.
My mic dropped.
Literally.
The contrast effect, notice I said that now with an accent. If I give you, it's almost like anchoring, right?
Mm-hmm. That's similar.
Your things aren't measured objectively. They're measured in reference to something else. So if I say, is that thing tall? And I say, compared to the Eiffel Tower, you're going to go, well, no, it's short. If I say, well, is that guy tall?
Compared
to this,
whatever.
anthill.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden it is tall.
Yeah.
And so that's framing. It's the exact same thing viewed from two completely different lenses. So how we choose to contrast things, I might compare a property to a mansion, or I might compare a property to the other two or three we've looked at. And a good example of this is they've got this ideal in their mind of what they might be looking for. But if I compare it to what's practically available right now, all of a sudden it looks really, really good.
Yes, because we have the frame of reference, right?
100%. Loss aversion that we just covered is another example of framing. If I frame it in terms of the opportunity for gain, it's going to have a very different feeling than if I frame it as an opportunity for gain. Potential for loss.
Yes, yep. Mm-hmm.
So those were group one. These are all about decision-making and risk assessment. And I think you can see that those four, there's several others, but those four examples are framing how we think
when we make decisions. Yeah, yeah.
And
how we perceive like moving forward, especially into the space of risk. Like that's one for me is I see some of those like that. Am I willing to take, I'm already making some decisions based on some maybe irrational thinking about the risk I'm willing to take.
Not maybe is my accusation.
No, I know.
I'm suggesting that
I am.
We're not just you. We're far less rational than we think we are.
Yeah.
It's almost sometimes better not to look under the hood. So let's do group two real quick. I've only got a couple here that I wanted to cover, but one is one of the most practically helpful frameworks to understand about yourself.
Yeah.
And this is called the fundamental attribution error.
Yeah.
And it's actually better for me not to read the definition.
Yeah.
Here's how I like to describe the fundamental attribution error. I'm wearing a brand new pair of white sneakers. And if somebody stands on my brand new white sneakers, my natural inclination is to go, what a clumsy, bad person. Like, why weren't you thinking? Why weren't you looking? Like this represents something wrong with you. But if I stand on somebody's white sneakers that are brand new, I'm going to go, oh, no.
I totally mistake. Didn't mean to, accident. Yeah.
I mean, how could I have known? So this is the ability to overemphasize personality traits while underestimating situational factors when we evaluate others. So when somebody else does something, we don't give them the same grace that we would give ourselves. We presume it's a flaw with them. Mm-hmm. Whereas if we did it, we would say it was a situation that created that outcome.
Yeah.
So the reason this one's so important, jump in first.
No, I would just say I think this is the conversation that I feel like we have all the time with our agents when they're in a heightened emotional state about, well, they did this and they did. I mean, they're looking at the realtor on the other side or the clients on the, or even their own client, and those are things that, probably you've done too, right? It is just really like the overemphasizing what they did in the situation. I'm like, but does that not seem like like something you would have done too or whatever? I feel like this is where we're talking people off the cliffs in some of these situations, the way they see other people.
And the way they see other people is the point. The phrase that I wrote, I won't say who, but I wrote it on somebody's whiteboard once, graceful disposition. So fundamental attribution error means that we attribute to malice for others what could have been attributed to just ignorance or like an accident.
Be more gracious, yeah.
So a graceful disposition is how I like to think about this. Because I know that I am a victim of the fundamental attribution error. When I'm looking at someone and going, clearly you are a horrible human being and you meant to do that and you're bad to your core, it's possible that actually I do the exact same thing as what they did, but when I do it, I go, accident. When they do it, I go, bad person.
Yeah.
So I think that one's big. The other two that I have here that are worth mentioning is the in-group bias. And the reason this one's interesting, given where we're at as a world right now, frankly, is not just, there's basic examples about this, but you could say racism is an example of in-group bias. But I think it's more interesting even to look at it. So we favor our tribe, right? But more importantly, we would see error, kind of like fundamental attribution error. We would see error in other tribes where we might be oblivious to it in our own.
And happening in your own tribe or culture,
So we favor people that are perceived as our group. and groups are interesting these days because there's racial groups, but there's also tribal groups. There's sport groups. There's all sorts of groups.
I think of like brokerage groups. I feel like we feel like as Century 21 Signature Real Estate, we are a group of people. People like, and I thought of this is marketing ideology here, like people like us do things like this kind of thinking used against us in marketing or whatever. Like you're really targeting a specific group of people or whatever. So you see your different groups.
The reason this one matters so much to me is less to be aware that I might be judging groups outside. I'm really interested in this one as it relates to my lack of inclination to be able and willing to judge my group inside.
Oh, yeah. Totally true. We wouldn't do that.
Well, if I'm obsessed with better and I always want to improve, then it's very, very easy for me to go, a good example of this is you see the parents showing up at school. Well, you were a teacher. And the parents are going to defend to the death little Johnny. Little Johnny who literally was kicking the crap out of several. Johnny was a turd. But the dad is meant to protect little Johnny. So it's not a bad thing that we have in-group bias. I think it's great that we protect our own kids. But if you're obsessed with better and you really want to improve internally, you have to gain a skill set to be able to assess and judge your in-group
truth a little bit more about even what's going on. I agree
we are
with that.
Victims of in-group bias. And the other one that we are victims of is what I'd call the horn and halo effect.
Okay.
They're really just two ends of the same coin. The halo effect, I like to think of it this way. If you show up and you look sharp and you're wearing a suit and you drive a nice car, I presume that you must be smart and good at what you do. And that's the most basic example.
I literally wrote first impressions matter on both of the horn and halo effects.
100%. And the truth is you just might have a rich daddy.
or be faking it and really have no money.
100%. So we presume that one positive trait
must mean all these other positive
bleeds
traits.
over into all the other areas of their life. The horn effect is the opposite of that. If somebody does one thing wrong, this means that they must be bad at all the other things that they do. And so know that we are victims to those.
100%.
So, were there any others there that you wanted to cover that jumped out?
No, I would say the bandwagon effect was one other one that I was saying, like social proof. If it's accepted by others or, then we are victims of social proof. Like, I always think of like the line or whatever. I'm like, well, everyone else is doing it. So that's where I go. This is how I do it. It must be okay. It must be safe. And the fact that your brain is doing that when it's like obviously the worst choice you can make is kind of astounding, honestly.
Some of us are more prey to that than others.
I have to catch myself.
Yeah. I'm wound the other way where I'm actually like, sometimes I need to go, okay,
If they're all doing it, and I don't know if I want to, kind of thing.
Well, so maybe they're all doing it because it actually is good.
Yeah.
Like, some of us are wound to reject what everybody else is doing simply for the sake of it.
Yeah.
Okay, group 3 is about memory and recall.
This is interesting.
Well, several of these we've talked about as well.
Yeah.
The peak end rule. Let's start with that one.
Mm-hmm.
Peak end rule we covered, I think, because it showed up in
Power of Moments.
Power of Moments,
Yeah.
which if you haven't read, you should. It's probably
Exactly
the best
what I wrote
book
down.
out there about creating a remarkable client experience.
Mm-hmm.
But the peak end rule is that, again, because of shortcuts, we don't have the mental capacity to be able to assess every experience that we have by recalling all of the components of it.
Mm-hmm.
So when you think back to your most recent vacation, if I would actually have you score the vacation every 10 minutes, you could like click a clicker from 0 to 10.
Yeah.
At certain points, you'd be clicking a 2, like while you were on the plane,
Like meh.
a 3 while you checked into your room and your bags were late or whatever. Your actual average score on your average vacation was probably like a 6.
Mm-hmm.
But when you think back to the vacation, you don't actually assess it that way.
No.
You assess it typically through the greatest highs of the trip. You remember
The thing
swimming
that
with
was the most
turtles,
experience, the
or-
most incredible. Yeah.
So you remember the peak and then you remember the end. Even the best experience, when it ends with a turd, is
Yep.
remembered as a turd.
Yep.
So this really, really matters in the context of creating remarkable
Remarkable client
experiences,
experiences, yes.
because we need to make sure that we're doing a good job of creating great highs, and
Mm-hmm.
when highs happen, memorializing
Really
them.
celebrating those things.
Getting
yeah.
a photo of the highs really matters.
Yes.
And then also ensuring that we end well.
Close it out well. Yeah.
Peak end rule, negativity bias. This one we talk about a ton as well.
Yeah. We did a whole kind of roundtable on where people are sometimes more likely to hardwired to see the negative than the positive, or remember the negative.
I always quote 7 times, but I don't know if that's actually
Well,
scientifically.
that's what we've now quoted.
Well, I think there's truth to that. Let's just go with at least.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, we're wound to see tigers more than we're wound to see butterflies.
And the way that we remember, that's like that
We're
part
wound
that
to
really
remember that there was a
Mhm.
tiger more than we are. And so the
Yes.
truth of the matter is that life is actually pretty freaking good.
Yeah.
But what we are wound to do is see the negative. Advertisers know that, so they sell the negative. Fear of loss is a greater motive than opportunity for gain. So
Always
they,
right.
they pitch the reasons why things
Yep.
could go wrong. So we buy more insurance. And so we actually live in a world of relative bliss compared to any other time in human history.
Actually pretty wonderful.
In a country of relative bliss compared to most other nations.
Yeah.
But what we feel is all the negative, see the negative, remember the negative.
Mm-hmm.
This is why, practically, we do the back of the boat. It's why we force ourselves. We're already rugged individuals and wound towards better.
Yes.
We want to be obsessed with better. But because we have a negativity bias, we need to force ourselves to look off the back of the boat, mark and celebrate the wins that we have had, because we're only ever going to see what's
The
wrong
mountain in front of us.
and not what's good.
Yeah.
And so this is why we do gratitudes in the morning.
Yeah.
Because there's actually so much to be grateful for, but our brain doesn't see it. We see what's negative. We don't see what's positive.
Yeah. You really do have to force the space and the time to make those switches in your brain and your hardwiring. Yeah.
This is a big mindset one.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the other one I pointed out was the hindsight bias.
Mm-hmm.
And this one I think is so powerful for me. Well, I could look at it from a couple different angles. What were you going to jump in with?
No, I just, this one makes me chuckle because it's the way that you see it, right? Like, you're like, oh yeah, of course it happened that way. But in the moment it was like completely stressful and you had no idea what you're doing. But like the knew it all along phrase that's on here, like really like connected with me. And I was chuckling. I was like, did you though? Did you know it all along? Cause it didn't feel like that in the moment, but the way you remember it is, yeah, it was good.
Yeah, perceiving past events as having been more predictable than they actually are. So there's two different frames to look at this. I mean, one is, I should have known.
Mm-hmm.
And so you can be hard on yourself.
Hindsight
because
is 20/20.
right now, hindsight's 20/20. That's where that comes from.
Mm-hmm.
But also judging others, right? Like they should have known. How could you not have known that was going to produce that outcome? How could you? Obviously, you should have.
Seen that coming.
Well, that's very, very easy to see today.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the more interesting version of this is as you think about decision making moving forward. So here I am, and I'm looking back. It's clear, so I can judge you or judge others. Looking forward, sometimes I feel like, why is it so hard to make this decision? Why is it not clear to me? Am I dumb? Am I stupid? Is this not? It's always so obvious. Like I've read all these books about all these things and all these stories, and clearly the decisions were easy to see. But why is it that every time I'm looking
when you're moving forward, it's so
decisions
hard.
seem so hard? And the answer is because it is that hard. And most things in the moment weren't that clear.
No.
And so we've got this false perception that it should be easy to decide on forks on the road, because looking back on all the decisions, it was obvious what was right and what was wrong.
That was clearly the right thing to do, yeah.
Well, I think about us and hiring people. I think about team members, and man, it's looking back when we part ways with someone, it's like, well, obviously that wasn't going to work out for various reasons. It's the same with your buyers or your sellers. You get to the end of the transaction where it blows up and you fire them or they fire you, and you're like, well, all the signs were there.
I just didn't listen to my gut.
But on the next round, you're with someone and you're like, there's signs, but I don't know. Like it could go either way. And the truth is it does go either way. So yeah, hindsight bias for me is that, one, be careful not to presume that it was that clear going backwards. Don't judge others or yourself for that. Or
yourself.
And recognize that moving forward, it is a lot harder to see forward than backward.
Yeah, that's good.
Which takes me to group 4.
Yeah.
And that's meaning and belief is how we categorize that. There's only 2 I'm going to point out. The first is confirmation bias. And actually, I've kind of said this one. Confirmation bias I defined as seeking, interpreting, and remembering information in ways that reinforce existing beliefs. So when I talked about system 1 and system 2 thinking, that's what this is.
Yeah.
But a better way to define it or think about it is you think because you're a liberal or you think because you're a conservative that you have tons and tons of evidence to support your position.
Yes.
And so you have your position because of the evidence. And that is fundamentally not true. Your position was formed slowly but surely through a long period of time over all sorts of circumstantial contexts. And our ability to find evidence that supports our position is actually how we work. The decision was made probably in system 1 thinking. The rationalization is where we find evidence. And the truth is you can find evidence for any position you want. Stats are the same. You can find statistics. You've all seen
tell
this.
your story.
100%.
Yes.
We watch people provide science and evidence for something that is the complete opposite of the science and evidence from somebody else's position.
Yeah, totally. Or either.
I don't even know which is true.
Yeah, that's totally true. Yep.
So confirmation bias, you must know this about yourself. When you're supporting, when you've got a quote, when you've got a stat, when you've got a data point, know that there's probably someone on the other side of the story that has a stat or a data point as well.
I thought instantly of your algorithms on your social media. So like how it's being used against you, because you could just, with the way algorithms work, you're watching not truths and then you watch more of them and then more. And it's like it is a stacking effect of all the things that like, well, yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm right. I'm totally right. Because you just keep getting fed the same thing over and over, even if it's all wrong.
It's exactly what's going on because we are wired the way we are. And now we've created this social bubble. What do we call them? A silo. You're being fed a lot of anecdotal evidence.
Your own stuff, right?
There's a video showing a group of people that are probably not in your in-group doing the thing that you know is the wrong and bad thing.
Yes.
There's probably videos out there of your group, your in-group, doing the thing.
Absolutely.
And so yeah, evidence in and of itself, be careful because the way we actually decide isn't the way we think we do.
Yeah.
And then survivorship bias. I like this one mostly because there's a fun story to tell about it.
Okay.
Survivorship bias is the focusing on successful examples while ignoring invisible failures. So there's this really cool story. I think it's World War II. And they're trying to figure out how to reinforce the planes. So they're flying these warplanes out and they're getting shot to heck. And they're coming back with bullet holes everywhere. They're like, okay, what we've got to figure out how to do is save more of our planes. So we need to know where to reinforce them because they can't reinforce the whole plane. That'd be too heavy. So the question they're asking is, where are the planes being shot? Like, what are these bad pilots shooting at?
Yep.
Where are they aiming in order to take the planes down? Let's reinforce those areas. Have you heard this story?
No, I have not.
Well, so
it all makes total sense. I'm good, yeah.
So what they do is they take a look at all the planes. And they look at all the planes and go, where are all the bullet holes? And do you know where they find all the bullet holes?
Where the people are?
No,
or
they
engines?
find them on the wings and they find them on the tail of the plane. They're like, okay, we got this. They're aiming for the wings and they're aiming for the tail. So let's reinforce the wings and the tail. Do you get what's wrong with the story?
That's a bad place to reinforce because that's what helps fly.
Well, right? Yeah, probably. But more importantly, which planes were they
those
looking
didn't go
at?
down. Those were the ones that survived, and those didn't go down.
It's the exact opposite place they should be reinforcing. The place they should be reinforcing is for all the ones that went down, which is where they shot the
These
center
ones made
fuselage.
it back. So
100%. Okay. That's the survivorship bias.
Yep.
Where you're measuring the wrong data set because you're looking at the people who did succeed.
Actually succeeded.
What you're not taking a look at is all the people that
did not.
They went for the NFL and they gave it their all, and 99.999% failed.
Don't make it.
So yeah, survivorship bias. I keep saying it. I feel like I'm saying it wrong. Survivorship.
Yeah, you got it. All of the letters are in there when you're saying
accent?
that.
Is it
no, it's good. You got it. That one was funny to me because it's interesting that you do see the successful things because of the. I mean, I was thinking the negativity bias was for me, and all of the famous quotes there are about like the fact that you have to fail to succeed. So it's interesting that your brain.
Well, but it's back to the availability heuristic.
Yeah,
and
it's
so
your frame and your availability.
We don't know to look for what we aren't seeing.
Yeah.
So when you fail, do you have an autobiography?
Yeah, those aren't advertised.
Those aren't the stories available for us.
Yeah, that's totally true.
So, the big point here is, one, you're not as rational as you think you are. Two, you are being manipulated, whether inadvertently or intentionally. It doesn't really matter. The fact of the matter is that our brains aren't the machines that we think they are. And although most of you probably aren't as nerdy as me about this stuff, I think taking the time to, if nothing else, acknowledge that you're more of a victim to ChatGPT hallucinations than you think you are.
Yeah.
If for no other reason, simply to offer more grace in the context of an argument or a discussion with somebody else, but maybe also to develop a little bit of humility and recognize, wait, I might be just as dumb as all these people around me.
Yep.
I think that's maybe what I'd like to gain out of this. What do you think this does for you?
For me, one, I mean, it is like, the honest check. Like if you know about it, there's ways that you can then overcome that. So I always like these things to be revealed. So I'm like, ooh, I know I'm doing it. I can make a different or better decision. I can improve on that. Right. Yeah. And then for me, I'm always also looking at the way that we help our clients move forward. So I'm always just thinking, how can I then see, now that I know, when these things are happening and just help move them forward whenever it makes best sense for them through some of these things and things that they're doing.
Yeah. I know you guys asked me to write down more real estate examples on these. And my response was, I don't want to, the problem with
real
these.
Real estate or whatever.
The problem with these is that they're broad, they're big, and they're pretty sweeping notions about the human brain. And if you minimize them to one example in real estate, you might actually miss the bigger point. These are about real estate, but they're really not. They're about you and your kids and your relationships with others and how you view the world. And how you view the world is not how you think. And
so just realize that first.
You're actually a victim of some secret thinking in your brain that you're not aware of. Handful of books that I want to recommend for anyone that actually cares to jump into this. I already mentioned Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. That is a seminal work. I know I'll get teased for saying seminal. A little more accessible is Nudge.
Yeah.
Nudge by, I think it's Thaler and Sunstein. I know we have that listed in our book resources.
Yep.
Great read. One of my all-time favorites that everyone in sales and anyone that wants to understand the human mind should read is Influence by
that one.
I think it's called
Psychology of Persuasion. Mm-hmm.
by Robert Cialdini.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually got another one called Persuasion, just as good, but that's the one to start with. Influence, Psychology of Persuasion. And then finally, Daniel Pink, I think, also understands this from a psychological perspective. The book Drive is all about why we do what we do. And then To Sell is Human is another great read. So, and then I want to say one more thing. If you really want to see this at play, have you seen Oz Perlman? Have I shown you him?
No.
Okay. If you're out there and you want to be absolutely floored, Oz Perlman is a mentalist.
Oh, okay.
I've shown you a couple videos.
Maybe. Yeah, I just didn't remember his name.
Just go to TikTok, go to Instagram, type in Oz Perlman and watch any one of 4,000 videos out there of him completely reading people's minds.
and he's not reading their minds.
He just knows system one thinking.
He understands how to manipulate thoughts to drive people towards an answer that he's already planted in their head. Do I know how he's doing it? No. Do I know that this has got to do with it?
Yes.
100%. So if I knew how he was doing what he was doing, I'd be
doing that.
I'd be doing something else.
Off doing that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, the resources there in the Forge.
Good. Yeah.
Take a look at it. Again, this is one of those things that you're not going to read it and go, okay, here's how I apply this tomorrow to real estate. I do think that understanding is everything. And the more you understand your own brain and understand other people's brains, the more powerful you are.
Yeah,
so,
it's the power of knowing. Yeah, I think it's great.
thanks for playing along with me on this one.
Yeah.